4th of July, fireworks, food trucks, and yes, freedom. But when cities swell with hundreds of thousands of people, history doesn't just teach, it screams. Chaos loves a crowd. But before we get into all that, if you watched the last video I did, The Threat Within, and you watched it to the end, then you know all you had to do is leave a comment and you were entered into the drawing for the Frog Pro Med Pouch. And we'll do that giveaway at the end of this video. I hope everyone had a great 4th of July weekend. You got to spend some time with your friends and your family. For those of you that had to work in no matter what capacity, I've been there many years, so thank you for your service. I said in the last two videos leading up to this one, the one that was done just prior to the 4th, and the one that I released actually on the 4th, that you had to be prepared for any sort of potential unrest at any time. So let's look into how this weekend actually played out, because there was a lot you probably didn't hear about on the news. Guys, it is just unfortunate that our major cities are in the absolute crumbling state that they are in, but it is what it is. All we can do is stay aware of our current climate around us and act accordingly. So since we are all about not being sheep and not living in fear and consistently trying to stay ahead of the curve, let's do a tactical analysis of urban violence on Independence Day 2025. So in Chicago, there were at least 44 people shot, 6 of them fatally, and that includes a 16-year-old girl. All of these shootings, 2 of them met the FBI's definition of a mass shooting event. With those 2 mass shooting events, the first one occurred in back of the yards where there were 7 victims, and then the other happened in Little Village where there were 4 victims.
Unfortunately, more violence in the city. So far, at least 40 people have been shot and 6 killed across Chicago this 4th of July weekend.
We begin with breaking news out of Chicago's River North neighborhood. That's where police say 18 people were shot in a deadly mass shooting overnight.
Now, video shows a chaotic scene moments after the shooting took place, with police on the scene and people trying to get help for their friends and loved ones.
Sometimes it's about plain evil, and as long as people have guns, they're going to use them whenever they get angry.
And I just want to highlight what was said at the end there. As long as there are guns, people will use them when they get angry. Sorry, no, not the case at all. I've had guns my entire life, and so have all my friends and family. And guess what? Probably just like you, not one of them has used them because they were angry. But see, this is the prime example of using fear from a tragedy to condition people to push an agenda. So now let's head just a little bit south from Chicago to Indianapolis, Indiana. Here we had 2 teenage boys killed and 5 others injured in downtown Indy in another mass shooting incident. And this occurred right after the fireworks ended. All the victims in this one were in the 15 to 21 age range. And the police were obviously all over there because, again, it was downtown. They detained 7 people and recovered multiple firearms.
We start with tragic breaking news out of downtown Indy. IMPD telling us that 7 people were shot and 2 have died in a shooting just a few hours ago.
So now we'll head out of the Midwest. We'll go over to the East Coast, and in Philadelphia, where 3 of our RANT instructors work as cops, one of which is assigned to SWAT. They had 11 people injured due to multiple shootings throughout the city. And there was another mass shooting event at 7 Elements Bar where they had 8 people wounded, including a security guard who was shot in the face and a woman who was shot in the back. And then in the other shootings throughout the city, they had a 15-year-old shot in the leg and a woman shot in the head. And with all of this, no arrests were reported as of the latest update.
7:33, we went ahead to breaking news now. A mass shooting investigation underway in South Philadelphia. So far, we know at least 11 people were hurt in the gunfire. Police rushed 3 of the victims to nearby hospitals, and 8 others arrived to area hospitals on their own.
From there, let's head up north to my old stomping grounds, the Big Apple in Queens. They had a triple stabbing take place with 1 man stabbed in the chest who was killed, 2 others injured, where one was stabbed in the ribs and the other had a slash wound across his abdomen. And there too, no suspects in custody.
Tragic ending to the July 4th holiday. 1 person killed and a killer still on the loose. We did have quite the police response here overnight with this stabbing happening right around 2 o'clock in the morning. Neighbors describing a chaotic scene as first responders rushed in to find 3 men in their 20s were stabbed.
And then a little bit further north of that, in Brockton, Massachusetts, they had 6 people shot during a massive street party, which was believed to stem from a large fight. And there as well, no arrests have been made yet. So now for all of our personal situational awareness and future mindset focus, let's look at the key themes and takeaways from a completely subjective perspective. In all of these instances, there was a heavy involvement of youth. The chief of Indianapolis, rightfully so, I would say, just put it out there in plain speak.
Hundreds of unsupervised kids down here. I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are not your children's keepers. You are. And parents and guardians have got to step up. A kid is dead tonight. And we just don't know the age of the young man down the street, still here, dead. He looks young. It's unacceptable. The police department all night long went from place to place to place, trying to prevent these kind of things. And I gotta be honest, I'm tired of it. You should be tired of it. This is not our job to do this. It is unnecessary. You don't have to act like this. Our officers, half a block away from when before this shooting started, dealing with another group of individuals fighting. We made almost, probably, well, we're still tallying them, about 20 arrests tonight. Recovered guns that I know of before this happened from 2 kids. One of them was an assault rifle stuffed in the front of his pants.
So youth involvement, and then obviously most likely illegal access to firearms, because not only did some of these incidents involve high-powered weapons, but you heard it. They found a minor in Indianapolis with a freaking assault rifle down his pants. Also, we've been recently really preaching about this whole being in the mindset of being your own quick reaction force. That adage of when seconds matter, the police are only minutes away really holds true here, despite the fact that all of these cities have increased police patrols. They were still overwhelmed, and that's not hard to understand either. They are dealing with thousands, if not tens of thousands of people all at once. I think there's also a human conditioning element to all of this as well. Listen to this guy.
Some neighborhood residents walked the track at Avalon Park, unaware just hours earlier gun violence claimed the life of a teenage girl while wounding a man there.
I'm always shocked at the things that's happening in this area, but again, I'm getting used to it at the same time. But it is heartbreaking.
It's been warned about time and time again that we as a society, especially through social media, which can just be an incredibly effective but absolutely awful tool to desensitizing people and just making all of this violence normal. And with that is also assigning blame to anything else but the people who are actually committing the crimes. Now, getting into the operational environment here, I would certainly give this its own category. Holiday celebrations in any city, no matter the size, draw a large crowd comparatively to the normal density of the particular area. When I was in New York City, I worked all the big ones, from the 4th of July fireworks to the Rockefeller tree lighting, and it doesn't change no matter where you are. You are going to have crowd density issues. Tens of thousands of people in public squares, parks, or city centers, and this presents with limited mobility and a high reaction latency. We also know from these incidents that peak violence occurred post-fireworks. So let's just say anywhere between the hours of 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. Why? I've said it before in regards to securing your house. Bad guys like to operate in the shadows. So the sun is down, there's reduced visibility, and let's be honest, most likely everyone has probably been drinking all day long. Add into that, by this time frame, you are going to have levels of elevated intoxication. I would also love to know, and I'm sure I could do a FOIA request to get this information, or if someone from any of these areas happens to be watching this video, if you could weigh in on, or I could find out, was there any sort of primary comms issues like cellular network overload when everything started to break out? So now with all of that addressed, looking at the common structural failures that occurred here, pop-up street parties and ad hoc firework displays draw dense crowds outside of pre-planned permitted zones. And because of this, you don't have any sort of fencing in place or vehicle barriers established. So that is a near impossible environment to work in. You don't know where these will pop up at. It could just be on your normal route driving home. And when something does happen, guys, let me ask you, when is the last time the town or the city you live in has done a crowd evacuation drill? While most places have plans down to reference, they aren't really ever practiced, and you can't have all of the attendees practice it. So really, you as a civilian are just left to improvise in the moment. And I would say one of the biggest hurdles in this would be the mere fact that you know there's going to be dispersal confusion. Fireworks, haze, sound saturation, and darkness confuse threat identification. It would be like, I think the show is over, but Was that fireworks or was that gunshots? There's illegal fireworks getting set off all night, all over the place. Once it's realized that it actually is gunshots, here comes the herd mentality and people just getting trampled as everyone tries to run away. So let's get into it. Your tactical prep going forward. Let's talk situational awareness. Probably most importantly, number one, I would say recon. Know the layout or the terrain. Before you set foot on concrete, study a map. Where are the exits? Where are the medical tents? Where are the hard barriers and potential choke points? And make sure that you have a rally point with your group established. Your life might depend on knowing that escape route when the vibe shifts from celebration to chaos. As you start hearing or feeling agitation, shouting, or just a sudden movement, treat that as an early warning sign and make sure you have a rally point with your group established that everybody knows exactly where they're headed when something like that happens. And also, I would say you don't want to be the loudest thing in the room.
What is that you got? What's what, man? Yeah, that. What you got on? Very nice suit. That's a very nice suit. Huh? That's a clown suit. That's a costume with a big sign on it that says arrest me. You understand? You're too loud. You're making too much noise. Look at me. The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room.
Try to do some neutral colors, no logos, no slogans that somebody could accidentally take as controversial or God knows what. This isn't the day you want to rep your favorite hot take. Not that it's really your problem what is going to set someone else off, but with all the alcohol and God knows what else involved, why take the chance? Low contrast clothing, good footwear. Lord knows I'm the furthest thing from a fashion icon, but seriously, you will not catch me in flip-flops anywhere where there is going to be any sort of crowd. I can't emphasize this enough. Start looking at or hearing stories from induced panic events and see how many people literally run out of their shoes. Now, you know I had to bring communications up because you know how important I feel that comms are, and I alluded to it a little bit earlier, but if or when the towers start to clog, you don't want to be yelling, "Can you hear me now?" on your cell phone alongside everyone else probably doing the exact same thing. Have your radio comms plan established, pre-select channels, do a range check, and practice quick codes with your group so you can get whatever message you want to out there quickly. Now, when it comes to addressing the crowd, crowds are living creatures. Learn to read their body language. If the tension ripples or people start moving as one, don't question it. I would move with them. But here's the key takeaway of this. Try to move diagonally towards the edge and avoid the densest part of the crowd. Stick to the periphery where movement is easier and escape routes are more accessible. And of course, yes, I hope some of you are yelling at your computer at this point saying, when is he going to bring this up? Carry your concealed firearm. If you are lawfully permitted to do so, and just as equally important, adequately trained to do so, because you're going to be putting yourself in a position where you are going to need precision under pressure, because crowded spaces limit your reaction time and movement, and you may only have a second to assess a threat and act. So training close quarters retention and shooting and muzzle discipline to ensure you can respond without risking bystanders is mandatory. And let me know in the comments if you would like me to do a video about that particular topic, and also let me know if you do carry concealed, what your preferred method is. In a fanny pack, as an appendix carry in a hip position. Kind of want to know what people are out there, what their thought process is, because we don't want to be the guy that thinks that they're prepared and then they go to pull their AR out of their duffel bag and realize then that the sight's thrown backwards. Also, with carrying all the firearm stuff, if you're going to carry concealed, you should know, of course, you got to have medical on you. So you want to be able to treat any trauma that you are the victim of or your family is the victim of, or even possibly the trauma that you create. With that, do you also carry a way to restrain someone as well? And speaking to this, understand, if you are this guy, you have to be responsible because you are taking on this role. So you have to be okay with the fact that you're probably going to be taking the role also of designated driver, because you should certainly not be drinking if this is the mindset going into a crowded environment that you are actually taking seriously. Okay, so getting to the end of this, I just want to take a second and say, wherever in the world you are watching this from, please keep Texas in your thoughts and prayers. I cannot imagine what the kids in that camp went through. It had to be just a hell on earth, and I cannot imagine what the families are going through right now, trying to deal with the aftermath of this. It really makes me wish this channel was bigger so that I had a bigger reach, so that I could set up I'm sure there's gonna be a million GoFundMe's and whatnot, but I could do something focused on getting all the providers some quality medical gear and stuff like that. So it's one of the goals for this channel. As it gets bigger and bigger, I can actually do some good and have some influence somewhere down the line. But guys, with that, I hope you got something good from this video and enjoyed watching it. I hope you enjoyed your holiday. Let me know in the comments if there's anything additional you carry or do when heading out in crowds. We are going to continue to try to keep up with everything going on. Most importantly, just remember, your greatest weapon isn't what's in your pack. It's what's in your head. Have the confidence and the calm to act without hesitation. Always, always trust your gut. And with that, let's get this raffle going and announce the winner so we can get that med pack mailed out to them.
Okay, everyone, we got our customized spin the wheel game here. Everybody that left a comment should be in here. We got one for God Dylan, the Alpha 1 Bravo 2, Christopher Thomas, I'm Lost, Daniel Weed, Terminal Element is in here, Chris Sharwell, Ed Farasorio, Modern Patriot, and G Davis. So let's spin it and see what happens. Okay, there it is. Christopher Thomas, you're the winner. Dude, send us an email, taylor@ranchstrategies.com with all your contact info, and we will get your med pouch out to you. All right, everyone. Well, appreciate you playing. We'll see you on the next one. And with that, be safe.